All right, so welcome everyone to the Hardwick Select Board meeting. Today's February 5th. I'm calling the regular meeting to order. First thing is set adjust agenda. Does anybody have anything to change on the agenda? All good. Roll with the agenda as written. Next up, communication from the audience. Anyone here to discuss anything that is not on the agenda?
Possibility, you go ahead. There you go.
Well, whoever speaks, start by stating your name.
Okay, my name is Ann Gilbreth, and of course I live in this town of Hardwick. And I saw something the other day that kind of disturbed me, and I finally decided I'd come to here and speak to you about it. Now, what made you decide that the townhouse was the ideal place to hold a town meeting? Was it the ample spacing? Was it people could run in so easily to vote? Or did you have extra money to spend to heat that place for 2 days so that we have a warm building to do town meeting business in? Or did you want to run a bus around town to pick up people that can't find a parking place but want to come to the meeting or not able to walk to the meeting for different reasons and whatever? Or did you just decide that there didn't need to be so many booths with different things that we had at the Hardwick Elementary School, or the food? Because I don't see down house that that's going to be available. Or did you just want most of us not to vote? Because we're not going to be able to. A lot of the older ones, and I've been talking with them, they're not going to be able to go to the meeting. And there's others that I know that just go in to vote and they're parking outside. Well, they're going to go and see there's no parking places, and they're not going to come in to vote. So I don't know what is on your agenda that you want to be voted on the town meeting day, but I'm a feeling that you're not seeing the town people that are able to vote, that aren't going to be able to vote. So, the last thing I have to say is, at a town meeting, there was a vote about going to the townhouse for this. And I think it was a resounding no. We did not, as town people, want to go to the townhouse to vote for a town meeting day. It was all right to have a townhouse, and in the summertime, it would be no problem at all, but this is in March. So what do you say? Why is it at the townhouse? Give me an answer. Because I have women and other people that I've talked with that really want to know. What is our town selectmen doing for the people in town?
Well, I guess, at least for myself, I don't share all your assumptions about the townhouse. I think that there is parking around the townhouse. There is access to the townhouse. It is smaller than the elementary school gym, but it's large enough to seat the number of people that have been coming to town meeting in recent years.
I don't think we have to worry about space in there. It's available, so we can get there.
And when we had town meeting in the townhouse, I thought the acoustics were better. It was easier to hear people.
What year was that? How many years have we been at the Hardwick Elementary?
Several.
When was the last time you went to the townhouse?
2003.
Pardon?
2003.
No, it was after
It
that.
was after that, yeah.
2006.
6.
Can I add something, Eric?
Kaylee,
I just want to add something because we did hear some of those concerns at the meeting that we decided to do at the townhouse. So the townhouse has worked really hard to make the building more accessible. And I talked to Tanya this week to see how she was feeling about everything being set up. And it sounds like Maya, who Sherry, is she a part of the Neck Arts board?
Yes.
Maya McCoy has put together a ton of volunteers to help with parking. So there are going to be people, which is different than the elementary school. There are going to be people actually out there helping with parking, helping to make sure people can get inside, providing different directions. So I think that there's been a lot of thought in how to make it accessible to people. Obviously, it's winter, it's tricky. It's the same thing with downtown and Hardwick. There's not guaranteed parking on Main Street for people who are going into the school.
We've never had a
So,
problem before with the parking behind the school and of course the Catholic Church.
so there's
is always
also
there.
a lot of parking on Creamery Road. So I think we're going to encourage people to park on Creamery Road, which is a pretty short walk, probably the same distance from the school parking lot down, so where the town garage is. So what we decided as a select board is to try it this year. There's a vote again on the ballot to decide whether or not we want to continue to have it at the townhouse or at the school. But we've really been, Neck Arts in the townhouse has really been working on making that building actually usable for town meeting. So we're going to try it this year. If it really doesn't seem like it's working, then townspeople can vote on it and they can decide. But we really are going to try and make sure that it's easier for people to get to than maybe it has been in the past.
And you're going to guarantee that it's going to be warm as.
And sunny.
School?
Yeah.
And at what cost? That was the other thing that was brought up to me, is the elementary is already heated and whatever, and this one here, you're gonna have to heat it.
It reopens for the season on March 1st, so it'll be heated from March 1st to the end of the season, which is November 1st. Neck Arts pays for that heat.
Pardon?
The Northeast Kingdom Arts Council pays for that heat.
Pays for that heat. Well, like I said,
But I think, Ann, these are all good, they're all good questions. I think it's important to let everybody know that it's going to be at the townhouse this year. I think anything that we can do to make it easier. It sounds like Maya is really spearheading that, and Tanya's been really working hard on it too. So I think you're totally right, making sure that there's parking, making it really easy for people who are just voting. Those are all really important things to hear now, right before town meeting.
And it may not end up working well, which is why we added a question to the warning about where to hold it next year.
And the statement you made about the vote at town meeting last year, we looked at the minutes for last year's town meeting.
Last several years.
It was actually 2023 the topic was done.
Yeah, there wasn't a vote last year.
okay.
So that's,
We couldn't,
That-
at least
there's
it
some
wasn't.
confusion.
It was not last year.
yeah.
Yeah, it was
So I
2023.
can amend myself on that, but
Well, I would just call it fake news.
you just had to put your 2 cents in.
I did. I did.
That's because you were supposed to pick me up tonight.
Uh-oh.
You forgot.
But you got here. No one reminded me.
But Ann,
I did say I would pick her up.
Yeah.
Ann, can I add one more thing? I think your idea of having a bus, or at least volunteers who are willing to pick people up, whether or not town meeting is at the school or at the townhouse, is a really good one. So, is a really good idea.
Good idea.
So whether, to me, it doesn't matter where it is, but I think that should be an option for folks, because it's not always easy,
Yeah.
so.
Well, and also, if you're going to have it, which sounds like you are, that perhaps policemen should be around for help with the parking or for people just coming in to vote. That's another thing that bothers me a bit, is for those who do not go to the meeting, but they come in to vote for the selectmen and whatever. And if they don't find an easy parking place like they do in front of the school, then they're not gonna vote.
Right, and that's a problem if people don't
And
vote.
you're going to cut off a lot of votes, because there are people that aren't gonna come because they know the parking spot and they just won't.
Well, back in the day, in the early 1900s, older people came to town meeting to vote. Why can't they come now? Just because they got to find a place to park? It's like, how bad do you want to get there?
I'll talk to you about another 20 years about that.
All right. So,
Nothing can
Alright.
stop me.
all right, so Ann, thank you for bringing this up. Anybody else have communication? Ann, can you state your name?
Ann Galloway, and I have a question. It's a different kind of accessibility question, but I wonder, last year Brendan Buckley stood up and asked if we could consider having town meeting on Saturdays. And I wondered what the plan is around that question, whether that's been considered, and if so, what's, how that's going to be addressed with town meeting.
So I think that's a great question. To change it, we would have to vote on it at town meeting. We did not put it on the warning this year. Not with any, I mean, not intending to not put it on, but just.
Well, we did discuss it.
We discussed it.
We discussed trying to change the date, the day or the time.
So it's been a while. I haven't tried to look into it in several years, but several years ago I did and couldn't. What I found was that, at least what I found reported was that towns that had changed town meeting date or time didn't necessarily see an increase in attendance. But I haven't looked into that recently.
And the polls still need to be open on election day, on town meeting day. So he's right. Town meetings that have moved to Saturdays or in the evenings have been less attended when the polls aren't open.
Okay.
That's not to say we shouldn't consider it. I mean, I think anything we can do to increase participation, we should consider.
Yeah, I just think it'd be good for people to vote on it and let them decide. So I guess I'll be bringing this up on the floor.
You could do like a straw vote or something this year and to have it on for next year or something. if that's-
Right.
But I could bring it up on the floor, right?
It would just have to be a straw vote.
Yeah, it's not on the warning, so it would have to be at the non-binding business at the end.
Okay, but if we did a non-binding vote that was advisory to the select board, then could the select board go ahead and at least warn it next year?
I
So that-
think we
or-
need
Warn it
or
next
we
year,
have to do
yeah.
it-
Is it-
we could warn it next year,
Yeah.
yeah, but if we wanted to change it for next year, I think we'd have
Yeah, no.
to have a special
She
town
said
meeting.
just warn it.
Okay, yeah.
And
But we could do that too.
we could also potentially put it on a ballot during the primary election. Then
Right.
we'd have an answer,
Yep.
because then you'd get more
In the fall,
people
yeah.
to weigh in on the question than to have it just at town meeting, where the people at town meeting would be the ones voting.
That's a great idea.
So you could have
That's a good idea.
more people polled.
So, thank you for that suggestion. How would people make
How do we do that?
Make that happen?
That'd be a good question for Tanya, because she
Okay.
runs the election.
Mhm.
And then we'd have to figure out what the question is. You'd have to ask a specific question.
Okay.
I think
After
that-
the meeting.
We
No,
should ask.
if it was on the poll, the ballot.
I see.
Somehow it'd be nice to know that, somehow ask, would you be more likely to come if we changed it to, will you promise to come?
And you're gonna get a bias of those people who actually came.
Could there be
We
a
could.
survey question asked at town meeting?
Basically you could
That we could
color
probably
in.
organize.
You could basically just have bullet points and then check off. I'd be more likely to come Tuesday evening,
Yeah.
same time,
Mhm.
a weekend.
Because that went on the way we're doing some of the others.
Yeah.
With a QR code that people can just go
That's a
on
good
and
idea.
paper copies if you want.
The thing about doing it at town meeting though is you're gonna get the people who are at town meeting.
Which is why I said QR code and you can put it out on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Front Porch Forum is a great idea, yeah.
Okay.
It's almost Facebook because that's where we get the most hits from.
All right, so we've still got our meeting ahead of us. Any other communication from the audience? Jake, can you stay? Yeah.
Just reiterating basically what you said is, don't ask people if they were more likely to come at town meeting. Because people who might not be able to make it to town meeting because of employment would like to have it another time, and they're not gonna be there to vote to have it another time. So,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
good opportunity.
All right, thanks. I'm gonna move us along to the next exciting thing, which is to approve minutes from last time, which was January 22nd.
So moved.
I'll
I
second
can
it.
motion, she and I both can't abstain, otherwise it doesn't pass, because Danny's not here. Right. I read them and they look great.
There we
And I
go.
trust you.
All right, I thought they looked good. So did you second that then?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So all in favor of approving minutes as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, town manager report, Mr. Upson.
Okay, so we've had our second meeting with the town public works guys for their union negotiations, moving along. Tim has been present at both meetings.
Good.
So that's good. We have select board representation. I think we're getting what we need to get settled. We have one more meeting scheduled. Little update on the wastewater treatment facility. So as you know, the deadline for for them to give us an offer, a fixed cost offer on the wastewater plant was January 15th. That has come and gone. We got an offer. We rejected the offer. Our state's consultants and the state pushed back on FEMA. They have brought the costing back. So they've gone back to the drawing board. There were two other towns, Ludlow and Johnson, who had similar damage to their wastewater plant. And the FEMA representative doing the costing for the Ludlow plant actually got it close to correct. And their funding gap was a lot smaller than Johnson and Hardwick's. So we use that, the state's consultants and the state use that example as like, why wasn't it done the same way? So they've accepted that, they've brought it back. The new deadline is April 15th for us to accept a fixed cost offer. So we're hoping it's gonna be a little closer to the actual number that we need to build the new plant, to raise the new plant. I've started weekly standing meetings with NVDA and state recovery officers to start working on applications for the USDA disaster money that's going to be coming soon. There's $31 million available, 15 for wastewater plants. So we're hoping
15 total?
15 million total for wastewater plants.
For Vermont?
For Vermont.
Okay, just for, not
Yeah.
for like the nation? or-
No,
Okay.
no, this is just for us.
Okay.
For the state. So that's hopeful, and we'll get an application in, and the state is aware, USDA is aware. That's why this money was kind of put together. So we're still moving forward with the wastewater plant, and we're still fighting tooth and nail for what we need, every last dollar.
That is awesome.
Yep. So we got 4 priority projects for water and wastewater for the priority list, the state priority list. We put in an application for the Hideaway Acres storage tank roof, which was called out in the recent sanitary survey. The water main on Wolcott Street, so funding for just rehabbing that because it's original. So we need to start thinking about a plan for replacement there. So the trick is to get these priority list applications in year after year and try to get moved closer to the top of the list and get funded by the Water Investment Division. And then for the wastewater end of things, we put in a project for the treatment facility and for the lift stations for the wastewater.
Okay.
Okay. We've also put in, we have a draft application into NVDA for the brownfields for the essential services project up here.
Great.
And just a public address to the pedestrian bridge project. The new pedestrian bridge is in. No, just kidding. So that temporary bridge is for construction workers to get to the other side of the road relatively quickly. For tools, supplies and stuff. So that's gonna be closed to the public. There won't be any stairs to it. They put that in. They pulled the old bridge, and they'll be demobilizing and leaving until March. So they just got in there to get the old bridge out, and then they'll be back. But it was kind of a trial run. They had to shut down the lane on South Main Street to unload the temporary bridge. They saw how the traffic pattern worked. They had flaggers out there, so it's a good dry run as to what the summer's gonna be like.
And if they're starting in March, or they're looking at being in that July to September timeframe for being in the river?
Yeah, I mean, we're planning on being in the river as soon as we can get there with the state's approval.
Right.
And I think if things go well, I think the project, if it goes smoothly, will hopefully be ahead of schedule. That's the goal.
Great.
Yep,
That's really great.
yep.
Awesome. That's it?
Yep.
All right, thank you. Do you wanna give the plowing report for
Yeah.
Patton?
Yep, so plowing, sanding, salting, and maintenance. We also had a sewer issue down on Mill Street that we had to help with, the co-op. The guys installed a new water shut-off down on Buffalo Street. So they've just been on the go and getting projects done, moving snow. Yeah, they've been busy.
Are our trucks all running?
As far as I know, we had a chain, the bed chain on one of the trucks broke, but it was the original bed chain. So it was just getting real thin.
Mhm.
So they got a new one that they're installing.
Opie, do you know if there's a plan to do snow removal in East Hardwick anytime soon?
They did go up there and move some banks back
Okay.
at Mr. Gravel's request. Is there more snow that needs to be moved up there?
I mean, in terms of visibility, there's a really good mile still at the McFeeters at the junction onto Main Street. So the visibility is pretty tough if you're looking down towards the bridge. So I don't know if they can the banks were pushed back, but I don't know if snow was removed necessarily. Because the, Norm's been plowing, I think the sidewalks are okay, but that visibility is really tough right there. On
So at
Cedar
the
Street.
end of McFeeters?
So Cedar Street where Cedar Street meets Main Street
Okay.
on both sides. And then also, it's maybe more of a V-Trans question, but Main Street to 16, the visibility is really tough by Mike. The visibility is really tough when Main Street hits 16 on both sides.
Okay.
And I think it's maybe a V-Trans, I don't know.
They won't.
Yeah.
It's our problem.
Um,
We'll get up there.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know.
Yep.
In a lot of places though, pushing back the banks has been really helpful for
Yeah,
visibility, so
definitely.
much appreciated.
I know we have started to see a little bit of salt shortage issues, like slow deliveries. We haven't been shut off or anything, but sometimes it's taking a week and a half or so to get a delivery that we order. So, and we're sort of hearing some towns are experiencing shortages where they just don't have any to solve their problems. So we haven't really hit that yet, but there's definitely, it could happen in the next month or so if we keep needing a lot. So sort of on the horizon.
As long as we have sand.
Drive slower.
And then, Kristen, do we need to schedule a public meeting for March 19th? I have a note in here. Are we still doing that? For the bylaws?
It's already scheduled.
We
Yeah.
schedule it? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
last meeting, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
already
at
been
5.
posted
I knew-
in the paper and-
Oh, okay, good. There's something that I had on here that I needed to announce, but I don't have it, so,
You can announce later.
yeah, I'll
Okay.
remember.
All right. Thank you. Next is item 1, select board to hear a presentation from VHB on the Mill Street scoping study.
We have Karen from VHB on here.
Great. And we had the scoping study report in our packet. And hi, Karen.
Good evening, everyone. I apologize, I can't hear much that's happening in the room unless you lean in and talk into the microphone. So it's loud and clear if you speak into the mic.
Oh,
How's this?
Perfect.
Okay. It's good to know.
it is good to know.
Pull your mics in.
I do have the closed captioning on, so I can follow some of the conversation that's picked up by the mic, but it's really hard to hear unless you're really close to the mic.
Okay, that's good feedback.
Well, thank you, everyone. I do have a couple of slides just sort of pulled from the previous public meeting, so it's nothing new or earth-shattering, but just maybe a way to guide a couple of key items that we want to bring to the group this evening. And then we do have a motion that I believe is in front of you all, so we'll pause there and put that to this body and hopefully be able to move forward with sort of the exciting body of work that's in front of us. So I will share my screen. Give me 1 second. Let's see if I'm able to do that. Perhaps you all are seeing.
Yeah, we see it. Yep.
Perfect. All right. Just a very brief overview. We're really focused on the corridor of Mill Street and a small segment of South Main Street too, where the pedestrian bridge construction activity is happening. And so that was the focus area of this study, and we really were focused on a pretty prescriptive municipal assistance section approach to scoping here. So the process essentially was looking at existing conditions along the corridor, hosting a local concerns meeting to hear from folks in the community about the issues and concerns and challenges along the corridor, particularly for multimodal access and improvements. Developing a project purpose and need as really the underpinning for any improvements that we're considering along the corridor. Developing alternatives to address those needs that were identified, bringing those alternatives back to the community to have a conversation about some of the trade-offs and options that are on the table to make those improvements, and then ultimately selecting with feedback from the community and input from the community a preferred alternative that was refined and again brought to a public conversation around those refinements and sort of that preferred package of treatments to improve particularly the walking infrastructure, but also some of the multimodal sort of connections through the corridor. And then finally advancing to the select board, we do have a draft scoping report that is in review with V-Trans and with the project team, and advancing that hopefully to a final scoping report with endorsement from this body. And just a highlight here, and I know this is in your packet, and information that Kristen provided. But the public process was really key to this process. So engagement throughout the process, we were able to really engage with 80 plus residents and business owners and community members and stakeholders along the corridor throughout this process. So really an engaged group that have provided input and feedback on all the materials that were developed through the project. And again, having those sort of touch points along the way at key milestones to really shape ultimately the preferred alternative for this project. And then I'll just put the preferred alternative here on the screen. I'll point out just some of the key elements. If there's any questions, certainly happy to address those. But sort of the key treatment components of the preferred alternative that we contemplated here are really making continuous sidewalk connections along both the north and south side of Mill Street. Making sure that those connections, in the long term, eventually connect up to Glenside Avenue and connecting that neighborhood to the downtown. Some key treatments at the intersection of Main Street and Mill Street, really rounding out the access at that intersection with the additional pedestrian crossing on the north leg, some raised bulb outs at that intersection to encourage traffic calming and make it very clear for traffic where they need to be in that intersection. And then really focusing in on sort of key treatments and crossings to really make it feel like a downtown and bring the sort of speed of traffic down, make folks really aware of anticipating pedestrians along the corridor. And then towards the east end of the corridor, really focused on some long-term solutions to realign Glenside Avenue eventually, and that intersection to reduce the complexity there and improve sight lines for folks, particularly for folks coming off of Glenside onto Mill Street, and eventually contemplating a path connection to the Fiumma buyback parcel towards the east end of the corridor. So happy to answer any questions. We have, drilled in sort of versions of these if anyone wants to see anything in more detail. And then in lieu of that, we can put the motion on the screen and go through that language if that feels like the right next step.
I have one question about the.
Talking to the mic.
I have one question about the parking at the post office and realigning that entrance exit and I assume parking on the opposite side from where people park now. Is that acceptable with the post office people? And
yeah, so through this process, we did hear from the postmaster that was a preferred on-site circulation change, and shifting the driveway to the other side really enables a better sight line, particularly when there are vehicles parked on street there. So that was really seen as advantageous, both for their on-site circulation changes that they're hoping to accomplish and for improvements for those sight lines to improve the safety at that location.
thank you. That was my question. Anybody else have questions? So yeah, we have some language for a potential motion, basically saying that the select board accepts.
Can I
I
ask?
can read it out loud if that's helpful.
Kaylee has a question.
I just have a timing and next steps question, which might be more for Kristen than for you, Karen. But my understanding is that this is us acknowledging the work that's been done so far and a general direction that we want to go. And then I'm just curious, once we make this motion, what the next steps are.
Karen, do you want to?
She might not have heard me. I tried to speak into the mic, but.
I'm happy to take that if that is being pitched my way. Yeah, so typically in this process, so V-Transit is weighing in, as I said, so it is part of a Transportation Alternatives Program grant. So we did go through this prescriptive process to come out with a preferred alternative that would be ready for design and construction. And so I think that the key next step is identifying funding to move at least the portion that's not long-term treatments, but sort of the core treatments into the design phase. So it would be identifying funding, probably working on a grant application to capture that funding, and then moving into design.
Okay, great. Thank you, Karen. And just so I also understand, so in that preferred example, for example, there's the pedestrian walkway along the river that says kind of like a later phase. That's basically like a future suggestion that the town could do that wouldn't necessarily be a part of this bigger project, right? It's just sort of an option for later that we could decide on?
It's in the long term.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, I have one question about the wording on this motion. The first half of the motion to me looks fine. The second half sounds like we're endorsing a final version that's not written yet.
This is the final version that you
The
just
final
presented.
version of the scoping study is what you are agreeing with, but you're not agreeing to a project or any piece of it. We've gone through the process of creating the scoping study and done all the different pieces with the community that 80 plus in the 3 meetings and a lot of outreach. But each component that's part of this is not, like, we're not looking for support of each component, but rather support of the whole process of the study.
But the way I understand that, but the way this is written, and it says, I'm gonna.
Change it.
Endorse the final version of the scoping study.
Well, because immediately previous to that, it says, part of this is to authorize VHB and staff to finalize the study. And then it says, or it sounds like then we're endorsing, or is VHB endorsing the final version?
For future funding applications and phased implementation planning, subject to future select board approval.
So my understanding
Just take that.
my understanding of this is that this is the final scoping study,
Okay.
which we're going to approve or not. And then, so we're endorsing that. And then based on that, this is what they can then apply for grants to get
And,
for funding.
and those pieces will go through more process.
Right.
So why,
Would it be simpler to do not to like wordsmith it too much, but to just do a period after finalize the study, then subject to a future select board approval, we will endorse the final version as a basic blah, 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 blah. So that way it's not, because the way it does read, it's essentially 2 different things, which is okay, but could we just do a period after study and then?
well, I'm also, I guess, now confused, so because this, is this the final study? Because it says in the motion, this is authorizing VHB and staff to finalize the study.
The finalized study is with the state.
It's with the state.
It's with the state. The concepts are all the same.
Yep.
But we just need to make certain that the state is going to, because it's their grant.
I guess to me, it would make more sense to do the first part of this now. Acknowledge the completion of the public engagement process for Mill Street and Main Street scoping study and authorize VHB and staff to finalize the study. And then at a later point, when there is the finalized study that's blessed by VTrans, to then endorse the final version as a basis for future funding. But that's just because we don't see like, if potentially VTrans wanted to make substantive changes, I mean, I don't know if they would, but it just seems a little funny to endorse the final version before we see it.
Will that limit
Unless-
access to will that limit access to potential funding at all? No.
Can't go for
But
any funding
can't,
until after.
Karen,
Right,
our grant with VHB is pretty much complete.
Done.
We actually got a 3rd meeting, and that was not part of the original plan.
Right.
So,
yeah.
if you guys want to wait to do that second part, it's gonna be without.
Without Karen.
Without Karen.
It's-
But
I guess
with
it's
the
fine.
VTrans.
Karen, do you have some sense about what might change between now and the final version?
I don't anticipate any substantive changes. We did meet with V-Trans during the course of the process, and they were on board with the, alternatives as we had them at the time, and many of the components are much the same. They were just in, a couple of options on the table for them at that point. So I don't anticipate any real changes to the preferred alternative, and I think maybe the key component is that we are getting endorsement for that preferred alternative, and sort of acceptance of the draft scoping report to be able to finalize that. So if we need to tweak the language to represent that, we can take a stab at that wordsmithing.
So I have a quick stab at it, just while you were
Great.
talking, Karen, which would
Yeah.
be to have a period after the study and then just change the last part to say endorsement for the final version as a basis for future funding applications and phased implementation planning is subject to future select board approval.
Perfect. Do you want to make that motion?
So I can, with those changes, I can make the motion Do I have to read it all out again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can make the motion to acknowledge completion of the public engagement process for the Mill Street and Main Street scoping study, authorizing VHB and staff to finalize the study. Endorsement for the final version as a basis for future funding applications, and phased implementation planning is subject to future select board approval.
Second.
Nicely done. Any discussion, more discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much, Karen.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all. Sorry I couldn't be there in person.
Ah, well. You get to be here in Zoom.
Next time.
They were excellent.
Thank you all.
VHB really did a great job of answering people's questions and being here 3 times, 3 different sets of times, and responding to what they heard. And I just really want to acknowledge that they were excellent to work with.
Yeah, that's great. And the one meeting I went to was really well attended, and participation was great, and the engagement from VHB was really good. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right. Next is item 2, select board to consider approving a contract addendum with SW Cole for the construction phase geotechnical engineering services for the retaining wall that's down near the pedestrian bridge, not to exceed $30,000, and authorize town manager to sign the contract addendum. Do you want to give the brief why we're doing this?
So early on in the project, we contracted with SW Cole to do the geotechnical borings, rather than have SE Group contract with them. So we paid for those directly. And as the process has gone forward with the construction, CCS has to have some engineering consultation for those borings and for the findings of those borings. And of course, SW Cole is not going to provide that for free. So because we contracted with them to do the borings, then we would contract with them to do the consultation for the construction. We don't have to, but if we did it through SE Group, it would probably be more money. So
Yep.
this is just following that same path. I think it would be up to that amount. It wouldn't be that amount. So it's
Got it.
so this is just another cost of a big project, and
And reading the proposal, it's pretty soup to nuts. They're going to do the exploration, they're going to say where the micropiles need to go, and they're going to do construction oversight while it's happening.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract addendum with SW Cole for the construction phase geotechnical engineering services for the retaining wall not to exceed $30,000, and authorize the town manager to sign the contract addendum.
Second.
any discussion?
This is in the budget, or it's an additional to the budget?
So this is in the FEMA portion
Okay.
of the wall.
Great,
A large portion of it is.
okay,
So this will be captured in that project.
great. Thanks.
Other questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Great. Thank you again for following that project and pushing it along. Next is item 3, select board to consider approving the current expense line of credit increase for Hardwick Electric issued through Union Bank from $300,000 to $575,000. And this had come to the select board previously, I think, and there were questions, but I think questions have been addressed. But we also have Jake here, I assume, to represent, or you could do your best to represent.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Hardwick
came
Electric.
back to sort of address any of the questions. I understand our general manager, Scott, shared some more details on what I was trying to get across at the December meeting. I'd be happy to elaborate on any of these. I can also, if you all feel good about it, I can also just let you do your thing.
So this is I mean, essentially, it's a line of credit for operating capital, and Hardwick Electric needs more operating capital right now.
Exactly. I'll just very briefly hit a few of these points so it's kind of in the record of why the driving forces behind the need for capital. I think some of the concern might be, what's going on to need a higher line of credit. So just to address like you said, the increase in the credit line is generally to use for cash on hand purposes and operating expenses. The nature of the way that the utility sells power, of course, is that customers use the power, and then the billing cycle could take 30 days, and then payment for that billing cycle could even be another 30 days or more. So when you think about how we have cold snaps and folks use more power during that time, the department might not see the revenue for 45, 60 days, which makes the operating costs, which are existing because we're paying to purchase that power from the distribution company, we're paying for that power the day it's used or around then, and customers might be paying 2 months later. So it makes it really important to have the flexibility in the cash flow. There's a few other factors. One is rate setting. The state has a long process to set new rates, so if costs are going up, the utility bears the brunt of those costs, like I said, almost immediately, whereas we might not be able to adjust the rates that we charge customers for months because of the rate setting process from the state. So that also makes it important to have flexibility in the power supply and operating. We have a few other things going on. Repairs to the Wolcott Hydro Station. I won't go into too much detail, but making good progress. As you know, the Wolcott Hydro Dam has been offline since the flooding. There is great progress. FEMA, we have multiple FEMA projects, FEMA funding sources for that. So waiting on funds like those FEMA funds to come in means there's also, operation stream. And then, just again, rate case could go more into that, but the way that the state sets those rates looks backwards, whereas costs for everything, power costs as well as, just the like labor costs and operating costs for trucks and for transformers and materials, everything like that can change.
Great.
So feel free to ask any questions.
Thanks, Jake. I can motion to approve the current expense line of credit increase for Hardwick Electric issued through Union Bank from $300,000 to $575,000.
Second.
Questions for amongst us or for Jake since he's here? No? All good? Okay, so all in favor, please say aye.
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 That's everyone, so motion carries. And do we have papers to sign too? Okay, cool. They'll come around. All right.
Some pages are just Tanya, but.
Right.
Okay.
Thanks, and thanks for coming, Jake.
Yeah.
Next is item 4, town manager to present bridge alternatives for Tucker Brook and Cary Road for discussion. Consider authorizing the town manager to move forward. I feel like there are a lot of bridges happening in tonight's meeting.
Yep.
So there were, they basically have provided a report to you with a bunch of alternatives.
Correct.
And recommendations.
And their recommendations on the structure and on the footings.
And so, we had a lot of that detailed information in our packet.
And
Do you want to give an overview, or I have a question?
yeah, so what this does is with the alternatives that they've provided, you guys decide on what direction you want to go with the structure. They go back and do the final designs. I send the cost estimate to FEMA, they reversion the project, and then we get funding for the actual construction at 90%.
And is the state adding another 5% for these projects?
We think it's 7.5%, 5 to 7.5% for the 4720 disaster.
Okay,
right around there.
okay. So what's a corrugated,
You're asking the wrong guy.
well, I tried to find it on the contact website and I couldn't find any images. And I guess my only question about it, I guess, okay, so I feel like generally these are two bridges that are totally utilitarian. It's not like it's a centerpiece bridge in downtown Hardwick or a main street in East Hardwick that everybody's gonna look at. People are gonna drive over it and not notice it. But the one thing that I wondered about was that corrugated arch in their description was the only one where they say, and it can achieve a life expectancy in excess of 50 years. So,
Is it basically a culvert, was I was trying to figure out?
right,
Was it just one of those really, that's what
With-
what I imagined was like a huge culvert based on the description.
I thought too.
but I kind of think in some ways it doesn't matter as long as it has longevity. So,
There would be, so the corrugated would be metal, I would assume.
I would assume too.
Like they did two bridges like that out in Woodbury.
Oh, okay, haven't seen.
Like
There
more
are two
like the
driveways.
Like more like the
Okay.
temporary bridges? Is that what you mean? Like,
Well, that's a culvert, so this would be an arch.
Yeah,
okay.
So it would be, the arch, the corrugated would be on the outfall.
Okay.
Upstream and downstream and through the,
Okay.
I mean, the only thing I would wonder is like, since they called out the life expectancy on that one type and they didn't call it out on any of the others,
because it's metal.
so they're just trying to reassure us?
I mean, yeah, I would like to go with the cheapest and longest lasting.
Exactly.
So, is there a way to differentiate that amongst those?
Or can we just direct the town manager to continue to work with them to find the cheapest and longest lasting solution?
Correct.
Because it's not, neither of these is like a centerpiece bridge.
And I'd sacrifice a little bit of cost for more durability,
Right,
longevity.
right. If we're comfortable that they're actually engineered to withstand the floods. Don't worry.
There was the option to just let it be.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
true.
just for-
You could just leave a big gaping hole there. Yeah.
I'm
that was
kidding,
an
I
option.
don't want that.
No.
What's the timing on deciding this, Opie? Sooner than later?
Yeah, sooner. We have more bridges
Yeah.
I mean,
to decide on.
I'm comfortable authorizing the town manager to follow up on those, figure out durability, longevity, cost, and make the best decision.
Okay.
Any other?
Is that okay with you, or would you rather have,
Well,
just
that's
let,
what it says, authorizing the town manager to move forward.
right?
Right, but we're just looking at, all that stuff is not presented in this, it's just a,
So then just take the Fernandez recommendation then? Is that what you're thinking?
Well,
They recommend both, which is kind of, like for their Cary Road, they basically
Yeah.
are recommending both. So, I mean, my hunch
For
is to,
both
is
of
to
them.
go with the one that's gonna cost us less, because we are gonna have to pay 5% probably.
true.
5 to 7.5, which is like, for one.
So the difference in cost, like 5% of so it's $300,000 difference in both
Yep.
cases, so 5% of that's 15,000
Yep,
is the delta between the two styles,
yep, and we have other bridges too.
and we have more bridges.
So that's kind of my question is, I know we've been, in this budget, we're putting money away for that match for the FEMA 5 to 10%. This is kind of the first time we're starting to say, let's go for it. I don't want to blow that I mean, 15 grand isn't a huge amount, but
That's just the difference though,
that's just the difference, right?
yeah.
Right. So I guess it's hard to know without seeing, maybe it would be helpful to make the decision. I know it's a little bit more work, but would with this, be able to say, okay, we've got these two that we need to make a decision about, we've got these three, and then we're gonna have this other project that we're gonna need to put money towards, and then we can decide, maybe Cary Road, we go with the cheapest one, And Tucker, as you said, these are kind of not, they're not a super trafficked
They're not
area.
showcase
They're not
bridges.
showcase
That's more
bridges.
what I was thinking.
So
They just
maybe
need to
we can.
work and last.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we can just go with the cheaper recommended option. That's kind of my thought, is go with the
Cheaper.
contact corrugated arch for Cary Road.
I don't like the word cheap.
Sorry,
I don't either.
most affordable, more
I-
affordable.
I want it to be able to withstand a flood and to last long. I'm happy to spend.
I like
15,000.
concrete and
For the-
steel myself.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it seems,
I'd rather just pay the extra 15,000 or whatever it comes down to if it's gonna last us twice as long. You know,
Well,
or-
the other thing is, we could choose this, but then we have to present it to FEMA, and they may
Right.
say, you have to go with the lesser option, right?
Least cost alternative is the lingo.
really, so they may say they're only funding their percentage of
They
the
may
lease
only give
cost.
us a certain percent of it.
And then.
We would
and
have
then-
to come up with the rest.
But we would have already done the
We can't
engineering
change
for
our
the other
mind at
one.
that point.
Lovely.
So from the side of the table, do you guys have a recommendation for how we proceed with this?
I was hoping you were asking them.
No, this side of the table.
Well, I'm sure
decided-
I'm sure you both
hang
do.
on.
Sorry.
So do you guys have, what are your thoughts?
I like concrete.
Yeah,
You just moments ago said you like concrete and steel.
Yeah, I like concrete and steel.
well, the corrugated
But
one.
I think that if I'm thinking out loud, the steel girder or the precast deck beams would require more engineering.
Yeah.
So I think that,
Yeah, but how about just between the two preferred?
I have a tendency to go with more, I usually look at, longevity.
Yeah.
So I would probably go with the concrete.
Because it would last longer.
Right.
I guess that's my gut feeling too.
Yeah.
Did
And it doesn't move, from what I've seen in the past two floods, you'd be surprised at what can be moved by water.
right.
And so undermining a concrete
Mm-hmm.
arch rather than a corrugated metal arch. So,
But so the risk we run, if we say, let's do the concrete arch,
but all the stuff is upsized anyways, so we hope it's not gonna get undermined or moved.
but if we said, let's do the concrete arch, then we'd ask Verandas? Verdantis
Yeah.
to engineer it.
Yeah,
But then after they engineer it, we could hear from FEMA that they won't pay for it. Or they won't pay for the,
they probably, they might not pay for the whole thing, but they won't know about these other alternatives. We put one
oh,
forward.
right, and say and the cost difference really isn't huge.
What's the difference between,
300,000
right? No, I know that,
Oh.
but what's the 15,000?
is the 5%
Yeah.
of that.
I think with that case, then we go with the concrete.
That's assuming that do we know that the state is gonna be doing that, or we're assuming that the state's gonna be doing the 5%?
Well, there's ERAF payments, and I'd have to look, I can't keep them straight from the 4720 is 10% local match.
Yeah.
And I know the state's gonna kick in on that. And 4810, it's 25% local.
For which one, I'm sorry?
The second one is 25%, 4810.
Fortunately, we have less.
We have less damage.
Yeah.
Most of these big
Okay.
bridges are 4720 the first
Okay.
one.
I think it was up to 12% what the state was gonna pay, but that's more than 10, so, yeah, so
I think.
I said it a
we've
couple weeks
been-
ago.
Yeah, well, we've been.
7.5
sort of
seems to be the number.
10%. But I mean,
Regardless, I'll
we're
make.
gonna have to
So-
set aside 100, 200, over 100,000 the next 2 years, because we only put aside 100,000, well, 10% of one, is 150. So like, we're gonna have to dip into some of our own capital and just keep setting aside 100,000 for 3 or 4 years to.
Mhm.
And that won't even,
caught up.
and
Do
that,
that, though.
I mean, it's good that we're doing that, but that won't even cover, I mean,
One of
yeah,
those.
that's, yeah.
But I mean, we have our regular bridge fund, so like we
Yeah.
have funds there, so we're gonna end up digging into that as we build it back up.
Yeah,
Can you
I mean,
just
our
remind me?
capital fund isn't gonna go negative, but our bridge category is going to, I mean, as we,
So it's-
until we start.
It's
going back
5%.
up.
it's gonna be 5%.
Yep.
Okay,
So regardless, I'll make a motion to authorize the town manager to move forward on this matter. Can I do that?
as he sees fit, or you're gonna offer some direction?
Well, to consider I'll let other people cue in. I think that he has some direction there of our desire for the most cost-effective while being also the most durable and having the most longevity, which there seems to be consensus around the concrete structure.
I wonder what Verdantis would say. Because they didn't offer longevity on any of the others.
Yeah.
Well, that's where I would ask our town manager to maybe
Yeah,
follow up on
follow
that.
up.
But then also give him the authorization to move forward.
Right. What do you think about that? What if we authorize you to move forward, work with, I don't know why I can't remember.
Verdantis.
Thank you, Verdantis.
You have to
To,
put your hand in like for dentist.
okay, Verdantis, to work with them to figure out what's gonna be the most durable and cost-effective, and then move ahead.
Okay.
And if it looks like it's the concrete, it's not that much more. If they convince you that the corrugated steel is a good way to go and it's a little less, then,
Okay.
but go with one of their preferred,
Yep.
one of their recommendations.
Okay.
So moved.
Oh boy,
Second.
What about Cary Road?
same thing, I think.
Okay.
So we're going to offer the town manager to work with Verdantis to figure out the most durable and cost-effective option and move forward with it.
I like it.
Okay, yep.
That perfectly reflected my ideas.
You guys are so helpful.
Can,
What would you do without us?
Wait, did we have a second on that?
I
Sure.
seconded.
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
just
So-
a quick, oh, sorry, Sherry.
It's okay. So at some point years ago, I was told by that then town manager that in the budget, $16,000 represents a penny on the
Tax rate.
tax rate.
And that's
Okay.
changed some, but
So-
that's, yep.
They don't make pennies anymore.
So I
So
don't
a
know
nickel.
what the current representation is of.
It's more like 20 or
cent.
25.
So we're, this is the total of 30 between the two to go with the higher price. So we keep that in mind.
Okay.
Yeah, a little over a cent on the tax rate, yeah.
Let's get the better one, is my thinking.
I think it'd be helpful as we go through these in the future to just include the list that we have of everything that we're gonna be doing, so we can reference kind of where we're,
Yeah,
where
I'll
we're
work
at.
on that. Once I
Um,
get costs.
I think Kristen had that, just so, like that list of basically what the projects are. I feel like the bridges, were they not in that?
That's not her list.
Okay.
She has a list of something, the hazard mitigation projects.
Okay,
But I can put something together similar to that.
just so we can kind of check things off and kind of
Get
see
an
them all-
idea
see
about
them
how
all-
much
all
more is
together,
still
yeah.
looming.
Yep.
And then also decide on, we had, when that bridge, when the Cary Road Bridge went out, we had some, I think it was Lucian came and talked about how that bridge was unnecessary. He felt like that bridge wasn't necessary for that road. Like, that's a conversation too for some of these bridges, but, we've talked a little bit about that with Greens Road,
We have a
The-
survey. That was the thing I was supposed to bring up. I
Yeah.
didn't bring up an old business.
Hang on, though, we have a motion on the table
Yeah.
in a second, and
Okay,
we're
I'm sorry,
we're
sorry, sorry.
wandering. So how about a vote on the motion? How about all in favor of authorizing the town manager to proceed with Verdantis? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I'm just gonna abstain from it.
And an abstention, so the motion carries. So, sorry, you were about to,
Yeah, so we have a survey out for Bridge 31 in East Hardwick. We could do the same thing for Cary Road. But I don't think that,
So I thought the discussion around Cary Road was that actually
that's why we went forward with hiring an
provides
engineer.
fairly critical access.
Yeah.
Because in the case of Macville Road not being accessible
Right.
for whatever reason,
Yeah.
which
Oh,
in the
yeah, I
past.
totally,
Yeah.
Yeah, we wanna do that one.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
That was one resident that came in that also lives on the road and has property
Yeah.
adjacent to the road.
yeah, I mean, the
so-
point, the
Unless you
point is
also
just kind
saw
of
no
being like,
use for the pedestrian bridge either.
Right.
well, no, I think, like, the survey, I think, is important for that, for the other bridge in
Yeah.
East Hardwick, but
Yeah.
it's just a question as we're doing this, like, does it have to be the same bridge? Can it be a one-way? Can it be, like, I'm not saying that for Cary Road, but it's just a
Well, you
question
have
of,
to replace it in kind.
right,
So it's
for
gotta be what it
FEMA,
was.
right, okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
All right, I'm gonna move us on to select board reports.
Yep.
I have one.
Go ahead.
Great. So this past, I think I mentioned this in January, but this past week, the Hardwick Equity Project finished up. This project had been going for a full year and was funded with a grant through the Vermont Community Foundation. We had a lot of different organizations who came together, and we are going to be pulling together a report of all the different projects that those different organizations have focused on. So we'll be bringing that once it's done in March to the select board to look at. So I wanted to say thank you to the Vermont Community Foundation for funding the project, to all of the committee members who put in a ton of time to organize that and facilitate it, and to also the organizations who were involved. And I also wanted to ask the select board to invite the equity committee to come talk about some of the projects that we are going to be working on in one of the April meetings. Felt like a good time. So I was hoping we could be on an agenda for well, I guess we might change the days after the organizational
We
meeting,
might.
but for one of the April meetings, it'd be great to have us come talk to the select board.
Okay. Great. Other reports? New business? Old business?
I have, the old business was, there's a survey for Bridge 31 that's out until February 27th. I'm gonna catch grief for not saying that in my manager.
It's out where?
Can you put that in my manager's report?
It was there.
It's out. It's out.
Would-
The bridge is
It's on
out.
Front Porch Forum. It's out on Facebook. The friends, the Greensboro Bend folks have it out on Facebook.
And who are you looking for responses from? Just town
Anybody.
Hardwick residents?
No, outside of town at Hardwick.
Okay.
People who use the bridge.
Okay.
It would weigh in on the bridge.
So it could be Greensboro Standard.
Mostly
We
standard.
actually have
Walden.
We've gotten
Yeah.
73 or
Yeah.
so far.
That's
Okay.
pretty good.
Yeah.
All
I mean,
right.
a lot of them are non-Hardwick residents, but yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
We can send them a bill.
We welcome feedback, yeah.
Okay.
That's that.
I would just like to address just some things I've heard, I've seen, I've read, and kind of like talking about the budget. You know, we talk about the budget in here, out of here for months. And so I think I see a lot of people who maybe they come to one meeting, they see us spend a certain amount of time on a certain topic or these things, or they read or they hear from somebody or they watch us on HTV. And I just want to invite all of you to participate more because it's a longer discussion around the budget, and that doesn't necessarily reflect how much time and effort we put into that budget just by seeing a half of a meeting or something like that. So please come, engage, read, look into the budget.
And on that note, please come to town meeting.
Sure.
Please read your town report, come to town meeting and share your views and your vote.
Those should be hitting mailboxes any day. Because
Oh.
we already got ours. They came yesterday. It's on our website already, and they'll be hitting mailboxes any day.
Great.
Great.
I'd also like to quickly address the local option tax and seeing and hearing some ideas that would disproportionately affect certain people in town or this, and kind of, again, understanding about the budget is that is another stream of revenue for the town, right? It is up for the select board to figure out how do we manage and balance the budget. So we can look at that and say, oh, well, this is only going to decrease, X percentage for these certain taxpayers. However, again, as I stated in here before, I look at that as over 10 years, potentially that's a new dump truck for us, or that's that is helping.
It's a the
It
cost of a replacement dump
offsets the
truck.
cost
Yeah.
of everything.
Correct, it offsets that,
Yeah.
but regardless of, we still have to allocate those funds, and that's just another source of revenue, so it's not that, that goes to disproportionately affect certain taxpayers versus others. Just putting that out there.
So on that topic, I've been talking to some people about the local option tax too, and I think we were probably already planning this, but I think we should have information available for people at town meeting. I think what the state put together that was brought up in the fall, it's just that one sheet about what a lot is, what the percentages are, would be a great resource to have available for people to understand. Yeah, and then also that number that we put in the budget is an estimate based on Hardwick numbers in the past. So it's not, we didn't just make up $50,000, it's based on that revenue from businesses last year, right? Last
That's
year.
reported.
That's reported. So, but I think it'd be great. I think it's a little bit of a complicated issue. So I think the more information we can give people to understand it, the better. And then I also wanted to add just a follow-up. Are we, just on the public comment, are we going to do a survey for town meeting for people to
We can't.
talk about?
Yeah.
Or at
We
least-
have the ability to put out a survey. I have a draft survey.
I think the idea of putting it on the ballot in the fall, in the
Yeah.
primary, is a really good idea. Because then it
Whose
gets
idea
to
was that?
everybody who goes to, who actually
Yeah.
handles a ballot.
Right.
I'm gonna give credit to Danny for
And
that
then it
idea.
does it, yeah.
So,
I think that's a great idea,
so we need to ask Tanya about the mechanics of that.
Yeah.
Yep,
yeah.
okay. Great. Could we have a motion to go into executive
Oh,
session?
no, I've got more old business. The town forest, Rachel Kane reached
Yeah.
out to me and wants people to know that there's another discussion about the town forest
On the 9th.
on the 19th of February. A virtual presentation will take place at noon and a live presentation at 6 p.m. at the library. This is the night of a select board meeting. But people will be able to go and watch that and talk about that on the 19th at 6.
Yeah, and I would encourage people to go. I went to the last one, it was well attended and people had good questions and
Yeah.
I think it was worthwhile.
Could they get there after the?
Sorry, Larry?
Could they what?
Yeah.
Is there a budget meeting that night also?
I think there's just a select board meeting.
No,
Oh.
we have our special meeting.
5:30.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, the public hearing, yeah.
Yep,
Sorry.
yep, yeah, we have that too.
Yes, the pre-town meeting's at 5:30, regular meeting's at 6.
Yep.
I can't keep it all straight.
No, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
But there's a copy of the proposal, and that information is on the town website. So
Yep.
you can go to the website and look at all of that stuff.
Can
You
I,
move.
I will make a motion to go into executive
Second.
session.
To include the town manager?
To include the town manager pursuant to 1 VSA 313 for personnel matter. Okay,
Do you have to second it?
Yeah.
yeah, do you second?
Sure.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And you aye?
Aye.
So that's everybody. So motion carries. Can we go to your office?
Sure.